via the central bank and the MOF and given to them to ease some liquidity in the system. Don't forget that plans by the federal government, who is a part shareholder of all the GENCOs and the DISCOs, the plans to issue bonds has been resisted by the National Assembly.
Maybe they should issue promissory notes instead.
Maybe a promissory note instead will do, and try to calm things a little bit, as the federal government, the administration has been able to calm the nerves around petrol prices, at least a little bit, keep everybody a little bit happy, trying to hold all the angles without letting things fall apart. When you get to the issue of the critical capital needed, something has to happen in 2017, and that is very critical. How do we get the power companies to get more capital? Would they be allowed to go step forward and do bonds of their own? Will the National Assembly allow that? But don't forget that a lot of money is still sitting with the central bank as far as the 230 billion power sector stimulus fund was concerned. Part of that has been distributed. That has also been undergoing another probe by the National Assembly as well.
So, Bosun, that means we shouldn't, it's not yet Uhuru.
No, it's not.
For, the metering plan, because a lot of people have got this confused, that the federal government says they're going to clear outstanding debts and you have issues of funding. So probably, and they also seem to forget that they've also got issues with infrastructure as well. So maybe they're expecting that these funds will be shared in such a way that it will take care of the metering that they need to do very quickly as well as the backlog that they have already.
Speaking to the issue of metering, if you remember a little bit, part of the conversations at the Pricewaterhouse Power and Utilities Conference, the final one for 2016, just about a few weeks ago, was about this metering. It ought to be, and the ideal situation was for power companies to give every customer a meter. Then it is part of the cost that you pay back, but you are given a meter up front without paying for it. What came out in the transition market was to say, pay, then we will provide you the meters. But it ought to be that the meters are given to you, then you're asked to pay instrumentally over a period of time.
But for those who have even paid,
for those who haven't paid, it hasn't been delivered. Again, there were a number of investigations and issues that had to be cleared here. Where is the money, the monies they've paid to the power companies? Had this money been used to service part of the loans they took to buy the power assets in the first place 3 years ago, November 2013 to be precise? These are conversations that are still ongoing. Now, for those who have taken the monies at the Naira rate a year or 2 years ago, they haven't gotten meters, but dollar has strengthened globally. Naira had fallen locally. You have a new exchange rate mechanism at the marketplace. At what rate will these DISCOs be now going to the market to source these meters? Now, who has the capacity to produce the thousands and thousands of meters locally to meet local demand? So this electricity conversation will definitely continue well into 2017. But the president said, and you just played that back, that, look, they've taken a holistic approach, a sectoral outlook. And I'm sure that was part of what the power minister would have contributed to the budget presentation. So look, we need more capital, we need more liquidity, which is called the cash flow. Now, both are needed. How that will be resolved in 2017 remains to be seen. Will it be via the budgetary allocations, or from January, we will see the power sector with the NERC sit down with the DISCOs and perhaps with the bank, which had been advocated for so long. Let everybody bring their books to the table and say, look, this is how much ABC is owing me, this is how much you are owing me. The government says, okay, fine, we're not giving this money directly to the DISCO, we're giving it to the banks or whoever, so that you can clear your backlog, so that banks perhaps can then move forward to a second round of lending to the power firms if they receive the promissory notes or bond notes from the federal government, which says we're going to clear this. Then put central bank also on the table, and the central bank will be told, look at these power debts on the books of the banks. Can you give them a moratorium as per the MPL or whatever it is?
But you see, Bosun, I think the only way for a lot of people to appreciate all of this conversation is if we have more transparency in these numbers that are being bandied up and back and forth. How much is being owed? How much is owed by each of the parastatals? How much has been collected for metering, to buy meters? And, like you rightly pointed out, at the time that maybe you paid for a meter, the dollar to Naira exchange rate was 190
or less
thereabouts. But now we have it at 305 at the interbank foreign exchange market, and then we have it at almost 500 at the black market. So let's have these numbers. Let's even know what it is that we're dealing with. We keep talking about the issues in the power sector. The distribution companies are very unhappy and they take it out on their customers. And then, of course, the customers are also unhappy and they take it out on every other person.
Everybody's unhappy.
Yes, and even though it's a holiday.
I'm not even sure President Buhari himself is happy. I'm not sure he's happy. I can be sure he's not happy. Because, again, everyone in the value chain is unhappy. And it looks like there's no value in the value chain. The banks are not happy. The discos are not happy. It looks like legislators are also not happy.
The customers
aren't happy. Even legislators are paying. Some state governments are owing the power companies the discos in their areas. So nobody is happy. It's a total mess in the entire value chain that you look at it, it looks like as if there's no easy resolution. So like you rightly said, perhaps we need to bring everybody to the table. The legislators are trying to do something.
In black and white. Let's know what it is that we're doing.
Let everybody bring all their books to the table, the NERC on the table, the Central Bank on the table, Bureau of Public Enterprises also on the table, all the GENCOs and DISCOs on the table. Perhaps that will help us resolve a bit of this issue. The federal government, President Buhari, sitting at the center of that meeting.
How quickly should it happen?
No, that should happen as fast as January 1st, once we are done with chicken, rice, and some drinks.
I knew you were going to bring the turkey in. I knew the turkey was coming in somewhere.
As soon as we bring it in, because, look, Harriet, you're looking at a recession of 3 quarters, and we will look at a Q4, most likely 4 quarters recession. If you don't fix electricity as a major cost input for power companies, for households, for small businesses, for artisans, you can't start talking about non-oil exports. You can't talk about domestic, industrial, small-scale industrial clusters, whether it's in Southeast or it's in Kano or in Maiduguri or whatever you want to put it in Ibadan order. You need electricity as a part of that resolution. Having had its fingers on the subsidies as far as petrol price is concerned, the next level for the government is to quickly move in on electricity, because that will also help what the federal government is doing as far as petrol is concerned. Once electricity becomes more stable, then you reduce consumption of petrol, then that helps you pull back on what you are spending to bridge the rising price of crude oil globally, the cost of bringing petrol in, the landing costs, and all other associated costs.
All right, so 2017, first quarter of 2017 is going to be a major game changer.
After the handshakes of what they call the Happy New Year and rice and chicken, we get out to electricity business. Okay,
so the electricity business is going to be in the first quarter of next year, and Wilson is going to be teeing that up for us. But Business Morning continues in just a moment. We're talking about the 2016 in perspective, the economy and the people.